Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing in law of exponents. So what do we do when we have variables that are being multiplied to each other or divided by each other? So of course, we're going to start off looking at our rules. So we have product of powers. That is, it tells me A just stands for any number, so any real number. So A to the power of M times A to the power of N equals A to the power of M plus N. And the quotient rule tells us A to the power of M divided by A to the power of N equals A to the power of M minus N. So let's kind of dive into this and see why it works. If we're given the example x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 7, our first step should be to expand both. So remember, exponents are just repeated multiplication. So x to the power of 4 is just x times x times x times x. And then the other one would be 7 x's, okay? And they are being connected by multiplication. So I could simplify this and rewrite it as the amount of x's I see, which is x to the power of 11. Because I'm doing x times x times x times x times x times x 11 times, okay? Or the easier way, instead of having to expand everything, which you can totally do, it's up to you, is to look at 4 plus 7, and that's 11. So you don't have to expand anything. You can just add the exponents as long as the base is the same. So because they're both x's. So product of powers or multiplying. We have our rule, a to the power of m, a to the power of n, equals a to the power of m plus n. So here are some steps to kind of follow so that you don't get too confused. And this is how I do it. You can feel free to come up with your own method. So group the numbers together, group the variables together, multiply the numbers together, and then add exponents. So we're multiplying numbers, coefficients, and we are adding exponents. So our first example is going to be 7x cubed y squared times 2xy cubed. So I'm literally going to rewrite it and organize. Put the numbers together, put the x's together, put the y's together. So I see I have 7 times 2 times x to the third times x to the power of 1 times y squared times y cubed. And so I'm going to do 7 times 2, 14. That 3 plus 1 on the x is going to be x to the power of 4. Then 2 plus 3 is going to be y to the power of 5. And that's my final answer. And that's it. I've simplified that expression. So next example, what if we're given 3 monomials multiplied together? So I'm going to do the same thing, rewrite, put my numbers together, put my x's together, put my y's together. In this case, I have a z also, so I'm going to throw that at the end because we like alphabetical order. It just gives us some, I don't know, clarity, organization. So 2 times 3 is going to be 6. Then we have x to the power of 5, y to the power of 5, and z has nothing to add, so it'd just be z 4. And that would be my final answer for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into quotient rule or dividing. So I have x to the power of 6 divided by x to the power of 4. So of course, first step, expand both of those. So I will have 4 x's on bottom. I will have 6 x's on top. And now this is where you have to remember your arithmetic rules. What am I actually doing? Any number divided by itself is 1. So that's what I'm doing. Any number divided by itself is 1. So I'm going to cross out matches. Those would be 1. So cross out matches. So right here, x on top, x on bottom, cross them out. That's a 1. That's another 1. That's another 1. And that's another 1. 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So that changes nothing. I'm left with these 2 x's that are being multiplied to each other. So that would just be x squared. And you can also do 6 minus 4 equals 2. Be careful with the subtraction because remember, if you've got a smaller number on top, you're going to end up with a negative exponent. So you're going to have to float that guy over to the other side anyways. So I kind of find it easier sometimes to go ahead and expand and cross out, just because I can see if I'm left with 2x's on bottom, then that'd be x squared on the bottom. So I don't have to deal with all those negative exponents. I can just see the positive ones. Of course, if you get really huge exponents, x to the power of 15 or x to the power of 40, you're not going to expand all those out. You're going to use your rules. So once you practiced enough, you should be fine with it. Okay, so quotient of powers or divide. The rule is a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n gives me a to the power of m minus n. So here are some steps to follow just to help you out. Stack numbers, stack variables, divide numbers, subtract exponents. So literally just make sure everything's matching top and bottom. So I'm giving an example, 7x cubed y squared over 2xy cubed. So I want 2xy cubed. So what I like to do is put a divider or a line between each part. That way I know I'm only working with that little fraction at a time. So 7 divided by 2 is already simplified. So either you simplify or you actually divide. 7 divided by 2 is simplified enough, so I can't do anything with that. X to the power of 3 over x to the power of 1. If I expand that, I'm left with 2 x's on top, so x squared. Y to the power of 2, y to the power of 3. I have 2 y's on top, 3 y's on bottom, so I'm left with 1 y on the bottom. So that'll give me 7x squared, 2y to the power of 1, or just 2y. It just depends on you. And that's it for that. If you have a variable that does not have a match, like a z or a w or anything else, it just stays right where it is. It doesn't move anywhere. You just want to make sure the letters that have matches are matched together. And that's pretty much it. This takes practice. It takes time to get. So if you're struggling, don't give up. Just keep practicing and keep going at it. It will get better. Bye guys. Good luck.